Welcome to my channel and to my video game review for Evil West. Evil West is an edgy third-person action game set in the wild, weird, but specifically evil West. That evil is vampires. Your character, Jesse Rentier, is the scion of a legendary vampire fighting organization, the Rentier Institute. Through a variety of action-packed, combat-filled levels, you take down a powerful evil that not only threatens the Rentier Institute, but the entire United States of America, including its beloved 22nd and 24th president, Grover Cleveland. Evil West was developed by Flying Wild Hog, who released it to the world on November 22nd, 2022. Flying Wild Hog is a Polish developer best known for the Shadow Warrior trilogy, but also Trek to Yomi. I've heard good things about each, but Evil West is my first dive into this developer's video games. Let's find out if Evil West is any good. Right off the bat, this game drops you into an absolutely beautiful Western setting. Your character and your friend Edgar are going to blow up a train bridge. This is pretty standard Western fare, but it's still fun because there aren't really a lot of Western games out there. One of the first things you'll notice as your no-nonsense vampire hunter slaughters his way through the Wild West is that the story isn't this game's first priority, and that's okay. It really just serves as a vehicle for slaying massive hordes of sanguisuges that you're pitted up against. After you blow up the train bridge, you seek out the vampire Peter Dabano. You infiltrate his lair, and you bring his head back to the Rentier Institute, where your father is unveiling his new supercharged electrical gauntlet for the US Secretary of Defense, the hot-tempered, foul-mouthed, pseudo-antagonist James Harrow. Unfortunately, that vampire that you killed, Peter Dabano, has a daughter, Felicity, and she's extremely powerful, extremely upset, and willing to break the rules. She is able to launch a coordinated assault on the Rentier Institute, causing its complete and utter destruction. From there, most of the game, you'll be taking missions out of this little western town called Calico, with the help of some zany side characters, trying to rebuild the Institute and live up to your father's legacy. The story really doesn't matter because the main focus of the game is its action combat. I've seen places that bill Evil West as a third-person shooter, but it's really more of a hack-and-slash style brawler. Frankly, the combat reminds me of God of War 2018, and while that's a difficult game to be compared to, the amount of satisfaction that comes from mastering this game's vast combat mechanics is of a similarly high caliber. You'll mostly be punching, but your electric gauntlet thing that this game is based around lets you do an electric parry, which has pretty generous timing, as well as letting you pull enemies towards you or zipping magnetically to your enemies. Each level, more or less, you also get to pick up a new weapon. My favorites were the carbine rifle and the crossbow, but every weapon was satisfying to use. I liked the dynamite, I always made good use of the flamethrower, and the boomstick always came in handy in a pinch. Figuring out how to balance and use your entire arsenal of weapons is the key to this game's combat, and I found if I was losing an encounter, a little bit of creativity with the game's weapons would give me just the edge I need to succeed. I played through this game on normal difficulty, and Evil West never pulled its punches. There's more than a fight or two where I really had to grind out the best strategies, make good use of my dodge, and prioritize my enemies carefully in order to make it through the encounter. Checkpoints are generous, and load times were short for me, so even when I was dying frequently, it was always easy to get back on my feet. Throughout the whole game, you'll be continuously introduced to new enemy types, and most new enemy types are introduced as mini-bosses. This is actually pretty cool because it gives the enemy design a little bit of time to shine, and it gives you a suitable space and time to strategize for how to bring these enemies down. When they come back as part of other mixed encounters as regular enemies, it makes you feel that much more badass for taking them down. The more enemies you kill, you gain new skills through a perk tree, and you can upgrade your weapons with cash that you get from around the world, making you stronger for each new encounter. This system, although a bit shallow, was serviceable, and who doesn't like the occasional upgrade? There are also a couple of true boss fights in this game, 4 I think, and they're mostly towards the end. I don't really want to spoil them, but I thought they were pretty competent, if not a bit annoyingly puzzly to figure out at first. Again, the enemy design really thrives here, and the disgusting gore-laden monstrosities that you face really give credence to the vile evil you're sent to defeat. This game's other systems, like the exploration or the puzzles, definitely fall in the shadow of Evil West combat. The exploration is mostly serviceable, and I appreciated the linear levels, but apart from the excellent environments and settings that you get to explore, this part of the gameplay is forgettable. There are a few divulging paths that you can take for collectibles, but there are also plenty of invisible walls, not to mention the stupid barriers that really shouldn't be so impassable for an accomplished vampire hunter with infinite dynamite. The sound design and music in this game fit the vibe of the world, but they're not exactly remarkable either. In terms of technical performance, I only really had one glitch while playing this game, where if I used my ultimate skill, a cool lightning storm, to end a fight, I wouldn't be able to sprint anymore. I could just reload the game, that would fix the issue, and the game ran smoothly otherwise, but it was a glitch that I ran into 3 or 4 times. The only thing I didn't really like about Evil West was some of the character writing, and as kind of a fault of that, the vocal performances. Jesse feels like he could have had some character growth and development in the story, and they set it up well, but the story doesn't deliver. The side characters, Edgar, Dr. Blackwell, and especially the engineer Virgil, are also extremely one-dimensional. Their conversations with each other and Jesse are always a bit uncanny and flat, and every time Virgil opens his mouth, I cringe. Here, listen.
The natives called it the Piazza. Scott's gonna shit bricks when he hears about this. I mean, Agent Bloom is gonna be really interested in this find. He majored in mythological creatures, but seeing it with your own eyes?
Splendiferous.
The story is not totally bereft of quality. You just need to go into this game expecting an extra dose of campiness and a B-movie level script. For me, I love jumping into Evil West. I didn't have to do any inventory management, and I was invested in the game's campy but fun vampire story. It didn't hit the narrative depths of something like Red Dead Redemption or God of War, but not every game needs to. The industry really needs a lot more well-made, focused, single-player experiences like Evil West, and I'm very glad that I gave this game a shot. Now, as a reviewer, I like to give a little bit of objectivity to my subjectivity when generating a review score, and I like to try to keep my rating system consistent across games. I score each game out of 100 or 100%, and you can see the breakdown on the screen right now. The categories are gameplay and mechanics, story and characters, visual design, audio and sound design, immersion and cohesion, and innovation and creativity. And they're all weighted a little differently. Gameplay and mechanics get a 26 out of 30. The core mechanics of this game are extremely solid. The combat is extremely fun, and it provided a tough but fair challenge with difficulty settings that you could adjust as needed. I took a few points off for some weird invisible walls, as well as the boring puzzle design, but I would be jumping right back into New Game Plus if I didn't have so many other games on my list. The story and characters category only gets a 10 out of 20. There isn't a lot of character arc or character growth, and the story rarely felt like it was moving at an appropriate pace. The saving grace here is the world building. I love how varied the level environments are for the setting that can often be one-dimensional. I also enjoyed the way that the vampires interact with the world through their sanguisuges and their secret vampire bases. Felicity was a decent evil villain, and I did love every minute I spent trying to take her down. The visuals and design category gets a 14 out of 15. Like I said, I love the different environments of this game, and they're all rendered beautifully. Despite me not liking the characters a ton, they are well designed from a visual standpoint. They all look like badass vampire hunters. The enemy designs are excellent, and the sheer variety of enemy types was a lot more than I expected. The only negative here is the level transitions were kind of weird. Between levels, there were loading screens with a block of text that would describe the cutscene you were about to watch before you watched it. There are a couple big story moments that were spoiled just a little bit because I read the flavor text right before watching the cutscene. The game tripped on its own feet a little with this one. The audio and sound design get a 9 out of 15. The soundtrack is serviceable but mostly forgettable. The sound effect designs are actually pretty great, but the points lost here are for the voice performances. They aren't always bad, and they're not terrible by any means, but there are a lot of times where they just feel flat and disjointed. I also had some audio syncing issues. I don't know if it was just me, but the characters' audio didn't always match their lip sync.
My wife could blow this defensive position over with a wet fart.
Immersion and cohesion get a 9 out of 10. Although it was a bit campy, I was absorbed into Evil West, and I was always invested in what was going on. It was really easy to get engaged in the combat, and I was getting a little sweaty trying to beat some of the tougher fights. Every system in the game fits well together, and it's all in service of a cohesive final product. Apart from the disjointed level transitions that I've already taken points away for, I only had to reload the game a couple times when I ran into that running glitch. The last category is innovation and creativity, where Evil West gets an 8 out of 10. Part of this game's appeal to me is that it's taking the old school PS3, Xbox 360 era linear action-adventure formula, and it's bringing it up to date with modern graphics and modern gameplay mechanics. The combat is a little derivative of God of War 2018, but it's by no means a straight-up copycat and has countless ways that make it unique, including a co-op mode that I didn't play, but God of War doesn't have a co-op mode, so there you go. There are a couple other Weird West-style games out on the market, but it's not an oversaturated genre. Evil West doesn't necessarily feel fresh, but it certainly isn't stale. Flying Wild Hog had their vision, and they executed it well. With all the categories added up, Evil West gets a score of 76 out of 100. Thank you for watching my Evil West review. If it seems like something you'd want to pick up, you can usually grab Evil West for 15 bones on the Steam sale, which is far more worthwhile than its typical $50 asking price. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm plenty happy to help support the work that they're doing over at Flying Wild Hog, because this is a genuinely fun video game. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and if you like this video, drop it a like and subscribe for more content just like this. I hope your day is filled with nasty little blood vampires and great video games.